Okay.
We're good to
Oh,
go.
red thing bouncing around. Whoa, what is that?
Okay, Jim, we're going to start.
Okay, that's going to be all the commissioners then, just what we have. Okay. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Village of Bartlett Plan Commission for May 14th, 2020, 7 p.m. And I guess we're doing this one virtually through Zoom. Will the secretary call the roll?
Mark Hopkins,
Here.
Tim Brennauer,
Here,
John Massio, Diane Nagel,
Here.
Austin Hopkins,
Here.
Jack Allen,
Here.
Jerry Callis, Dan Gunstein,
Here.
Tim Umberg.
Here. Okay, next item on our agenda is going to be the approval of the March 12th, 2020 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make Austin Hopkins. I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Ridenour will second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Secretary, call the roll.
Tim Brennauer,
Abstain.
John Massio, Diane Nagel,
Yes.
Austin Hopkins,
Yes.
Jack Allen,
Yes.
Jerry Callis, Dan Gunstein,
Yes.
Mark Hopkins,
Yes.
Tim Umberg.
Yes. The next item on our agenda is number 19-19, 7-Eleven, located at 555 West Lake Street. We're doing a site plan review with special use permits for automobile service station, to sell packaged liquor, and outdoor sales of propane. Okay, Christy, do we have the notifications?
We do. I will pull them up. Why is my slideshow frozen? There we go. There's the proof of the paper, the signs, and the affidavit that we sent the notices out.
Okay, fine. This is a public hearing. So if anybody is going to have any comments, it's supposed to be a public hearing, right?
Yes.
There should have been some notifications mailed in ahead of time or sent on emails in some sort. Has staff had those papers or questions?
We did not receive anything in advance, but I do believe there are a few attendees in the audience that may wish to speak once we open up the public hearing, after the petitioners have done their presentation.
Okay. Is the petitioner with us this evening?
They are.
Do you want to unmute them?
I'm sure, yes.
Okay, I'd like to swear you in, you and anyone else that's going to be giving some testimony. Could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Okay, Christy, could you give us some background?
Sure. This property has been part of Bartlett since its original incorporation in 1891 and was originally shown on the first zoning map as part of the farming district. It was rezoned to commercial, and automobile service stations were permitted in the zoning district. In 1963, the zoning ordinance changed things, and existing service stations were changed to special uses. The existing service station was considered a legal non-conforming use that was exempt from obtaining a special use permit as long as they were in operation. The property was rezoned in 1978 to the B3 zoning district. Since this property, the gas station that was previously on this property ceased to exist, the petitioners are having to request a special use permit to allow an automo service station again at this property. The petitioner is requesting a site plan review for a 3,500 square foot 7-Eleven convenience store and gas station at the northeast corner of North Bartlett and Lake Street in the B3 zoning district. The existing building would be demolished with the new service station. Trying to change slides here. There we go. The building will have a maximum height of 18 feet 10 inches and be constructed with fiber cement panels that have the appearance of brick and metal. A decorative canopy is located above the entrance to the convenience store. The fuel canopy is 17.5 feet tall. In addition to the special use permit for the automobile service station, they are also requesting a special use permits to sell packaged liquor and for outdoor sales, which is propane. The proposed hours of operation are 24 hours, 7 days a week. The previous site plan had 4 curb cuts. If you look at the exhibit, you can see that the petitioners are proposing to close the 2 closest to the intersection and have a right in, right out on Lake Street and a full access on North Bartlett Road. Cook County Highway has jurisdiction over North Bartlett Road. They have seen these plans. They've approved the location of the curb cuts, as well as IDOT has for the Lake Street curb cuts. The petitioners requested several variations, which went before the Zoning Board of Appeals last Thursday. The Zoning Board of Appeals voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. The petitioner is providing a total of 29 parking spaces, which exceeds the zoning ordinance requirement. The petitioner will be paying a fee in lieu of the required post-construction best management practices, so the stormwater, with DuPage County. The village engineer has supported this request. The petitioner is proposing a fence along the north and east property lines as required by the landscape ordinance. It will be a 6-foot tall solid fence. The landscape plan is currently under review by staff. The photometric plan has been approved. The plan indicates the light fixtures under the canopy will be recessed and have full cutoffs. The traffic impact analysis has been submitted by the petitioner. It's been reviewed by the village's traffic consultant, who has no further comments. The village's environmental consultant has reviewed the plans as well and has made some recommendations to protect the public health and environment during the redevelopment of the site. This letter is attached for your reference. The petitioner made a couple adjustments to the plans based on the village board committee comments, including moving the fuel vents away from Lake Street, as well as verifying that there's a safety shutoff system for filling tanks. Staff recommends approval of the petitioner's request subject to the conditions and findings of fact in your staff report.
Okay, thank you. I have a question or two for the village staff. The property is located in Cook County.
Correct.
What does the property and the previous owners do for the stormwater right now today?
It was existing, so back then there weren't standards for that. The previous gas station has been there since the 1960s.
And their stormwater went where?
The stormwater was basically over land.
Over the edge of the property? It just flowed over the edge of the property?
Correct. There was never a stormwater facility on the site.
Okay. If this property is located in Cook County, why is the petitioner paying a fee to DuPage County?
We follow the DuPage County stormwater ordinance for the entire village.
Well, where's the water going to go then? To DuPage County or stay in Cook County?
The stormwater will go in Cook County, but they are paying for giving the fee to DuPage County because we follow their ordinance.
But what does the fee cover? Why is there a fee if DuPage County is not receiving the water?
The stormwater systems are connected.
And how much is a fee to DuPage County?
I'll let the petitioners answer that.
Give me 1 second. I need to get the exact number up. I will get that for you 1 second.
John, this is Jason. I believe it's 13,900 if I'm not correct.
Yes, that sounds correct.
Okay. Do the members of the commission have any questions for the staff at this time?
I do.
Okay.
This is Mark Hopkins here. I have two questions. The first one is all rooftop equipment completely screened in pure elevation?
If you look on the site plan, it shows the rooftop mechanicals outlined, dashed on the elevations. They are behind the parapet walls.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay. Second question is, does the petitioner intend to broadcast music from under the canopy or use a loudspeaker under the canopy that would be audible at the property line?
So we have the tenant on the line with us. His name is Dan Aykroyd. He's from 7-Eleven. I will let him kind of speak to it. He's more of an expert in the operations.
Yes, good evening. This is Dan. We do not broadcast music at the pumps now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
I have one that's sort of simple. Christy or Roberta, who's our control here, can you go back to that first site plan? Yeah. Now, I assume the white is the property line.
Correct.
So these little areas of Parkway, it looks like part of it is on their site, on their property, and part of it is on somebody else's property?
That's the right-of-way limit. So this would be IDOT's property along Lake Street.
But that is green though, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when we were asking, they were asking for a variance for the width of this. Is that just for their property or the total?
It's just for their property.
Okay. So that actually is going to be a little bigger than that 7 feet or whatever that number was then, correct?
Correct. The parkway is bigger, but we only count what's on their property.
Okay. Now the other question I have is, I assume this is a sketch of a fuel truck here. You can't see my cursor, can you?
No, but yes, right. Fuel truck. I can figure out what you're doing.
Yeah. This fuel truck here, I assume will come in westbound on Lake Street. Come in, and then where does it exit? And is it going to do a left turn onto Bartlett Road to get back to Lake Street?
No, it'll make a right onto Bartlett.
We'll make a right on Bartlett. Okay, that is better. And the other question I got, since Jerry Callis isn't here, is 6 feet. Is that our usual fence height?
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't do 8 feet when we're that close to, is that, I assume that's an apartment building directly to the east?
That is. It can be up to 8 feet, but 6 feet is the minimum.
All right. I understand on the north, that seems fine, but it seems like we're sort of pretty close on the east side here. Should we consider making that 8 feet there? Or at least in the area of the building?
Black in the view.
Anybody else hear me?
I can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay. And all of the landscaping is on the owner's, petitioner's side of the fence, right?
Correct.
So I would just suggest we make that fence on the east side 8 feet, at least for part of it next to that building. And now go back to that last slide you had up. No, not that one. Yeah. What is this line? It's like a double line on the east side there. Yep. What is that?
This is Jason from Space Coast. That was that's been revised. That was originally a decorative retaining wall, but it's no longer needed after we went through the BMP process with the DuPage County and with the village. So that double line is on this site plan in there currently. That is not a retaining wall any longer.
And it's unneeded. And all right there, in the, like the, what's this? I wish you could see my cursor. Right where the curb, yeah, right there where you're at. What's that little thing right on the curb? The little square.
That's the relocated vent for the fuel tanks that was relocated from along Lake Street over to that location.
Very good.
I have a question. This is Diane Nagel. So with that fence, and I agree with the 8 foot on that one side, but is that fence going to be in at the same time of this construction, or they're not? Or are we waiting a year for the with the landscaping package? They have up to a year to put that in. When is that fence going up?
So we'll put it up. It will be one of the later parts of our construction, but we are not waiting a year to put our landscaping. As long as we can get our building permits in a timely manner and we can get our site completed before the weather turns, we will get it in as soon as we can. Excuse me. Sorry, this is John from GW, one of the petitioners.
Okay, thank you.
This is Austin. I have just a few questions. My first question is the exit along Bartlett Road. It's kind of hard to tell from these sketches here, but the width of that opening, if you have a car that wants to turn left out of there and a car waiting to turn right out of there, would they both fit side by side? Just wondering about stacking issues. Obviously, if this is near rush hour and we're going to have 3 cars trying to turn left, or even, just getting backed up there, people trying to move around in that section, if that's going to be an issue.
So yes, you have a 36-foot there. Also, anybody who's trying to go, for the most part, it's envisioned that people who are trying to go left on Bartlett will also be able to use the right out on Lake Street.
Unless if they want to go.
Unless they want to go left.
Go back to Oak Street.
Yes.
Or Oak Avenue.
Yeah, 36 feet is wide enough for three lanes, so 2 exits and one enter.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just want to make sure about that. And then also, the petitioners talk about, obviously there's contamination. What type of contamination is there, and how will the cleanup of that go, and how long would that take?
So this is John. I get to speak to that. We're doing all the necessary testing in order to obtain an NFR from the Illinois IPA. That is a no further remediation. Any contaminated dirt that is dug up and taken off-site will be taken to a subtitle D, which is an approved waste dump. So any contaminated dirt that goes off-site will be disposed of properly, and any contaminated dirt that is left on-site will be encapsulated by both a vapor barrier and your standard engineered barriers, which would include concrete and asphalt. Everything, as I said, we are required by the Illinois IPA to adhere to their standards in order to obtain an NFR.
Okay. I think that's pretty much it. I guess one more question. I do want to say I agree with Tim on the 8-foot fence. I think that's definitely should be necessary for there. And then I'm all for the packaged liquor alcohol sales. I think that'd be a good location on the north end of town there for that. But staff, just really quick question: if that is approved, even with the village board, and down the road they wanted to create gaming there, would they be able to, because they have alcohol sales?
No, they would not.
Okay.
They don't meet the parameters. In order to, this is Roberta, in order to have gaming devices, you need to have liquor, but you also need to be considered a truck stop. And this does not meet the parameters or the definition of a truck stop in accordance with the state of Illinois.
Got it. That's all the questions I have for now. Thank you.
Hey, Roberta or Christie, Tim Reiner, that Bartlett Road curb cut that Austin was talking about, do you think they should be striped there so that we have a definite right out, left out, and entrance? Or is
You
that
want
just
like arrows,
yeah,
arrows pointed?
right, correct.
I think they need to revise their site plan to take off that, the retaining wall, and they can add arrows to their site plan, yes.
It just seems like, people exiting, if we give them a little more guidance, it's always helpful. There's a north, right turn lane or left turn lane and leave that bottom part for the entrance.
Does the petitioner agree to that?
Yes, we could, if you want to put striping on the.
Some kind of striping, just
Just arrows, I believe.
couple arrows,
Yeah.
Arrows.
short stripe,
Perfect. Yes, we could do that.
This is Dan Gunstein. I just have a couple quick questions for the petitioner or for staff. Is the fence PVC material?
It's a wood fence.
It is a wood fence. Does that meet our standards for the Village of
Yeah.
Bartlett? Okay.
It has metal posts, which some of you remember that's a condition that Jerry always required.
I forgot that.
Second question is, what material is being used for the trash enclosure? I'm assuming it matches the building, or what materials are being used for that?
The trash enclosure does architecturally match the building.
Okay. Does that mean it has the brick veneer on that as well? And what kind of doors are on the front of that? Because
They
it's
have like Mueller gate doors. They look like barn doors on some level, although they don't operate with a single slider on the top. They have a hinge.
okay. Are they trimmed out with metal, or is it wood, or how is that put together at the end? On the face of it.
I believe they're a PVC with metal hinges.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because the trash services typically break those off when they're cedar, and it takes a long time for companies sometimes to get those fixed. And being that this faces the intersection, it was one of my concerns. The second set of questions I have is has there been any discussion regarding a sidewalk being put in? Because I know, if I'm not mistaken, I heard this 7-Eleven is a relocate from across the street, and that 7-Eleven gets a lot of foot traffic all day long, every day, as well as kids leaving the middle school and walking to the 7-Eleven. So I'm curious if there has been a discussion in regards to a sidewalk, or is it required?
So per both vehicular road jurisdictions, both Cook County and IDOT have requested, and we have agreed to put in sidewalks along the southern property lines.
Which sides?
South and west.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because they're not shown on the drawing, so that was my concern.
Yeah, those will be, so those would all be on the civil drawings, which unfortunately just aren't in the slideshow.
Okay. One of the last things I have is the canopy columns. When I look at the canopy columns, they don't look like they're wrapped with a material. They just look like they're a standard steel beam painted color match. Does the city, and Roberta, this might be a question for staff, does the city require all of our gas stations or any of our gas stations with canopy structures to have the steel uprights wrapped with materials that match the building?
We have had that in the past with some other gas stations. We do not require it, but that's something that you could make a recommendation on.
Okay. And then to recap on what Tim said, I do think that the exits going out onto Bartlett Road need to have a white painted stop bar, as well as the turn stripes, turn arrows on the pavement. So that would definitely be some. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about it. About the other commissioners feel about the canopy columns. I don't know if any of you guys want to chime in on that.
I'm trying to think, where do we have them that they're beefed up a little?
If you'll recall, Bucky's that was proposed had, they had their columns use the same materials that were on the front facade of the building. And we actually have another gas station coming soon before you that will, I believe, Christy, if I'm not mistaken, they will also be using stone on their columns. Am I right on that?
I have not, they were needed to submit the elevations for the canopies.
Okay.
My opinion is that one, this project is on a main thoroughfare that as you turn, you come into Bartlett. And secondly, I know that painted steel, has a life expectancy of maybe 2 years before it needs to be consistently grinded and sanded and painted. If you've been to the mobile gas station up on Route 59, you'd see that they're rotted out, it's rusted. I'm just looking from the appearance. I think it's something that should be added to enhance the overall look of the building and the site. But that's my opinion on that.
I like it.
I think we should add that as in a condition. Does anybody else have anything on that?
Well, do you want it going all the way up to the top? Or what if they did it half posts?
I would be okay with a half post that kind of mirrors the level of the faux brick that's under the left-hand side of the building window. So that looks like it's about 36 inches, 48 inches. I think that going 36 to 48 inches up on the canopy column with a nice cap on there that is the same cap that's used to go around the building.
That would help to protect it from weather a little bit more
Correct.
on the bottom end, which is going to be subjected to it.
Yep.
And eliminate some of the costs to the petitioner as well.
Does the petitioner have any feedback on that?
So this is Jason from Space Co again. The only thing I've seen in the past with different gas stations we've done is, when you cover them up, you don't know what's behind there. So, being able to see the painted columns and seeing that there's, potential corrosion, you can fix that. If you cover it up, sometimes you don't know that, and then it becomes more of an issue long term. So that's just, food for thought on that issue.
You think, Hopkins?
Well, it's not even brick on the building, guys. It's fiber cement, so it's false brick. I'm not real. It's not like it's as impervious as real brick is. Instead, fiber cement is basically hardy siding, guys.
Yeah.
So that's what's on the building. The gray stuff and the brick stuff is basically hardy siding or Nichiha or whatever manufacturer it is. So it's not like we're protecting those columns with real brick if we were to, steer the developer towards this. But instead, it's a
Well, it's going to be an aesthetic thing, and it still will look better.
yeah, it would be an aesthetic thing, but not a utilitarian thing.
I think this is Roberta again. I think the 7-Eleven down at Chicken 59 has brick columns.
What about the Circle K, Roberta?
Trying
don't
to
remember.
remember. I'm
Yeah, I
trying to
don't
remember
either.
too.
I don't remember. So I think the BP is just steel on 59.
Right, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I believe 7-Eleven is brick. I'm not, don't quote me, I'm not sure.
I'll tell you what.
This goes to show
We're
that
on our
we're not
computers,
really
we
looking
can
at
find
the
out.
aesthetics.
Well, we have a chance right now to make future projects like this better or lesser.
That's right.
And I think go for better.
Well,
Function versus fashion, though. If we can't see any damage underneath those poles with that,
Okay.
like the petitioner said, that compromises the integrity.
that's right, Diane.
Yeah, motorcycle.
Well,
Any
I've
other
seen-
questions from the commission?
This is Jack Allen. I'm looking at it. I think the supports should be fine the way they are. At least you can tell what's going on this way, other than wrapping it, not knowing what's going on behind.
We're on our computers now. This is Hopkins, you know, and I opened up Google Street View, and the 7-Eleven down on 59 and Schick does not have any wraps.
Does
on the
not,
car.
okay.
Yeah.
This is Austin. The Circle K, I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking on the street view.
Thank you, thank you.
The Circle K does have brick pillars.
Okay, let's go with that. All right.
Okay.
At least it looks like brick. I don't know if it's fake or not.
How are you guys doing that?
Google Maps and Street View, Timmer.
I can't get off of this screen.
Minimize it. Go at the bottom.
Oh, at the bottom, geez.
On your
Never
Google.
mind.
So in other words, we've got it both ways.
Yeah, I like
There you go.
ways.
I like that one.
So this is the Circle K.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
there you
Yeah.
go.
I
Yeah,
vote for that. They've got, look how wide their parkway is too. Where's the
Well, they have-
sidewalk on this one going? In the parkway?
they have a lot more land.
Where's the sidewalk on this new one going in the parkway?
The sidewalk will be on the IDOT right-of-way, so the part that was still colored green
Yeah.
site plan. So the sidewalks will be here.
So while you got this picture up, why don't we have this humongous shoulder being a right turn lane? All it says is there's a sign that says, "Do not drive on the shoulder."
You would have to talk to IDOT about that, Tim.
Are you my connection with IDOT?
Yeah, let's make this project better.
So we couldn't even stripe it to keep people off of it and keep them away from the sidewalk then?
We have no jurisdiction
Yeah,
over it.
nothing.
Nothing.
So this
Right.
is,
Circle K does look better, guys.
I agree.
I'm just going to tell you from my standpoint as somebody, that thinks that the aesthetics are a big part of what we approve in the city of Bartlett. I think we should keep that as our minimum standard to keep our trash enclosures, our buildings, and our canopy columns, whether it be a drive-through canopy or gas canopy, so that we don't have just raw steel or painted steel. I think when we're approving something, we have to think about it for the long term, not the short term. So
I agree with that statement.
I
agree.
vote for the brick.
Yeah, well, if we're gonna do it, gotta make it long lasting then. So-
Right. And it's Bartlett.
I believe if it's installed correctly, I do know that moisture can get behind there, but if it is installed correctly, I think that it can be done in a fashion that it won't cause future damage or decay behind there. But I agree, and to Mark's point, it is a hardy board siding. It's used on houses and stuff. And I'd like to say that the houses that are built with that type of material do not get moisture behind them. So I would hope. It is designed to keep the elements out of the inside of a building. So I don't know why that wouldn't work for the canopy columns. And I think adding it to a 48 inches max, no less than 3 feet, I think is a good compromise in my opinion.
3 feet's nothing, Dan.
Yeah, I think 4 feet needs to.
Yeah, well, no, take it to the top of the pumps.
That's
Take a
what I
look
was
at
saying,
the, take a look at the, Christie, can you put that back up? The Circle K?
That goes all the way to the canopy.
3 feet is not even up to the windows of that car, Dan.
Yeah, I agree. I personally think it should go all the way up.
Yeah, me
So-
too, actually.
Well,
If you're gonna do it,
guys, hey,
if you're gonna
guys,
do it.
This is Mitch Galtz, the petitioner. One of the distinctions I would want to point out too is that the canopy, as you can see on the rendering, the posts are going through a concrete base. And the second you start to widen that, that will start to need foundations to start wrapping it in a different material which may not fit within the base themselves. Additionally, part of the reason that it's left exposed and not having brick is that, unfortunately, some people don't like to walk to the garbage can when they're at the gas station, and will find a way to put things on top, anywhere they can place it on top of any ledge whatsoever. So you put a ledge there anywhere within arm's distance, it's oftentimes found to be left with drinks and food. So while I know aesthetically may not be exactly what some may want, if you look at the Circle K, those pillars are going all the way down to the ground, and these are on a base.
That looks like there's a base there. What am I looking at then?
Well, what are you going to put behind there? You got a metal, you got a tube steel post, right? Developer,
Right.
And then if you're going to do hardy, you're going to have to put metal studs behind it and build a wall, right?
Well, I'm not talking about the wall. I'm talking about the canopy itself. If you see the base of it, it's on. There's a thin white base where the pump is left on, and the canopy. So if you widen that, it may no longer fit within the base themselves.
No. Hey, Christy,
Yes.
can you let me share my screen for a minute? Because I've got a view of the Circle K island.
That's what we were just looking at, yeah. Put that up.
There. I'm making you a co-host. See if you can share your screen now.
I don't know. Can anybody see my screen?
Oh,
No.
No.
You have to did you hit the share screen button?
Share screen. Okay.
okay, I don't see it.
There.
No.
You can't see it?
Wait.
I'm trying.
No, now we just see your face.
That's not good.
I don't see that.
What do you want on the screen?
I've got a view of the island, which is from street view.
Yeah, we had that up.
No, it's you can get in and look at the bottom of the pumps and the garbage can and the base of the columns.
Wait, here's something.
Yeah, he just went in closer, Christy.
Okay.
You can actually get in there.
Yeah, you can just
Rather
hit the plus.
from Bartlett Road, you can get in there. So you could do that. So in other words, the island isn't any wider if it's boxed out for this brick finish material than it would be otherwise.
That's what it looked like when I saw it from the street.
Right.
And Tim, is that you talking?
It is.
And was that Mark talking?
It was.
Mark, I would agree with you in the weight of the product that they're utilizing. I don't think they'd have to upgrade or thicken the slab or anything of that nature.
Well, it's a wall. It would
It's
have
just
to
a
have
wall,
a
I mean.
foundation. It would have to have a foundation.
Well, there's a concrete slab that goes from the bollards on each side. It incorporates both columns and the gas pump.
That's right.
So,
That's right. But the building department will require a foundation to frost.
right.
So
Well, that's standard with any.
sure. But I mean, so we're looking at for the Circle K is no more. The island wasn't widened out or anything else, and honestly, that is, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3 brick wide, right? So it's 24 inches wide. You don't have to do that on the image. Is everybody looking at the color rendering now?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that could just be wrapped very tightly to the column.
There you go.
Okay. You
Yeah.
win.
So the island doesn't have to get any bigger.
Okay. What if we wrap it with like the Nichiha that's on the building? And just
That's what we're talking about.
That's fine. How high do you want it?
All the way up.
All the way.
Okay. I don't think someone can get their arm up 18 feet, so it should be okay.
Eliminates your litter problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. People find extraordinary places to put garbage when garbage cans are 3 feet away. So
I hear you.
All right, if anybody has, I would like to add that to an amendment to the petition. So,
Condition of
or,
approval?
I'm sorry, condition of approval, condition of approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, commissioners have any further questions?
And I would like to also tell the petitioners that I think this is the highest and best use for this property, and it is great to see something being built on here. So,
Yes, sir. I agree.
Yeah, it's
agree.
About time. It's about time.
thank you.
Yeah, so we'll add the 8-foot fence to that one side as a, to the petition as well.
Why don't you show the site plan again, Christie? Because Tim, you were talking about like near the building.
Yeah, near the apartment building, so it's a little screened a little more. Yeah, from there, at least 2/3 of the way down, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like the end of the parking?
Even where your cursor was fine.
Or where that vent is.
Yeah, or to the red line there, the setback line.
Yeah, that's where it would have to stop.
Yeah.
It can't go beyond the setback
right.
line.
where does it go across the back?
It stops at the setback line.
Okay.
It's at 50 feet back.
And is it back further than the trash enclosure, or would the petition want to incorporate the fence and the trash enclosure as one so people aren't hiding behind in between those two units?
Well, so the trash enclosure is a masonry unit and the fence is a wooden unit. So I think that pass through is. I mean, I'm not so worried about people hiding back there.
Okay.
That's a concern of the boards.
Roberta
They're
here.
made out of different materials, so I don't think you're going to incorporate them.
Yeah.
Roberta here, and I also don't think the fence should go beyond, it can't go beyond the setback line, but maybe it stops before it hits the line of the trash enclosure.
Yes.
I'd agree.
Now, I'm asking the petitioner, I guess, are you okay with having a 6-foot fence on the north property line, going to an 8-foot fence then on the east property line?
I think that's agreeable if it would please the the council.
Okay. We might have some attendees that would like to speak, so I just want to remind everybody that we haven't opened the public hearing yet.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the commissioners? No. Okay, I have a couple of questions. On the site plan that we're looking at here, the driveway entrance going into the property, it says it's 35 feet wide, but it has an island in the middle. How wide is that island that it's taken up to 35 feet?
So that is a mountable, that is a pork chop that ensures that only right-ins and right-outs are happening with cars, but it's also part of the truck route. So it is a mountable median for a large vehicle as a fuel tanker. The exact dimensions are on the civil plans here. We have our civil engineer, Jason, on here. I would have to pull them up to give you the exact.
All right, so then, but the driveway itself then for a vehicle to come in is going to be how wide? 12
So
feet,
you're,
15
yeah,
feet?
so I'm sorry, yeah, this is Jason from Space Coast. So as John was saying, it's a right in, right out, and it's, we've had it through IDOT. You're 12 feet in, 12 feet out at a minimum. And actually the out now we've revised to 15 per IDOT's request. So there's plenty of room for that. When John was referring to mountable curb, it's a 3-inch high curb that the truck can go over to get in. So that's all part of that. So we're back to curb, 15 feet in and out. So that gives you a 12-foot driving lane outside of the curb line in the gutter line.
Okay, so down along Lake Street there, you have that, it looks like a drawing of a fuel truck. Is that what a fuel truck's gonna load?
Yes.
Correct. That's what they'll load. Yep.
Okay. When this fuel truck is coming in off of Lake Street, how far does it have to drive into the property before it makes a left-hand turn to park where it's at in this diagram. But those trucks are pretty long.
Yeah, so
And
we
that turn in
have-
there, not going to allow them to make a left-hand turn right away.
Right. So we did run all this through an auto turn program to verify that it does work. I don't have that in front of me exactly, but it does make the turn in left and then straighten out with plenty of room. So we go with the standard tanker that we use at 7-Eleven, and the truck movements work fine here. We can get that to you if you'd like. I know that Jim has looked at it as well.
All right, so he's not going to cut it short and drive over that pork chop island there.
Oh, it will.
It will drive over the pork chop island. That's the idea of the M312 curb that's mountable, so that it can drive over that curb. That's the idea of it. And you know,
How long is
again,
it going to last? You know,
The
it's going to
curb?
last a year and then you have to replace it?
No. The curb is it's IDOT spec. It's 35 psi concrete spec. It's rated for that reason. And we do this all the time with IDOT. It's their right in, right out design and detail that we're proposing here, and knowing that it's going to be driven over with a loaded semi. That's their standard spec.
Okay, your diagram for the building itself has a sidewalk in front of it. It looks like it's 7 feet wide.
Yes,
Is that how wide the sidewalk is?
yes,
Okay, now you're also putting planters there that are 18 inches wide. So now your sidewalk is now cut down about 5 feet.
5.5.
What I'm getting at is there's some vehicles, because the ones that you have in your picture here are real small compact cars. You know, you have big trucks, 250s and 300s or whatever those big trucks are that the guys come in there, and the vehicle sticks out about 3 feet in front of their front tire. So it's going to be covering over the sidewalk. It happens all the time at Dunkin' Donuts out at 59. Are you going to put some wheel stops there so cars can't go out that far, so the bumpers cannot overhang that sidewalk? So if you got a bumper hanging over the sidewalk that's 2 feet, and you got these planters that are almost 2 feet, people are going to have a little struggle to get through there.
3.5 feet.
So this is Jason again. So typically, the wheel to bumper, the way we design them is 18 inches. So if you're against the curb, 18-inch overhang, an 18-inch planter, which is 3 feet. So you've got a 4 feet walkway. That was the intent.
That's fine. Like I said, for that picture that you showed there, those are compact cars. But what happens when you put that big pickup truck in there? You know, they got 250s and so forth. Where does their wheel to the bumper go? It's going to hang over the sidewalk.
Unless there's a front axle setback, it's standard for 18 inches from. I mean, for the pickup that I drive and the SUV my wife drive, it's 18 inches. That's the standard. Unless there's something, a winch or something out front that's, utility vehicle that's for construction or something. But if John, I don't know if you or Mitch want to comment on wheel stops.
Well,
but
I mean,
right now the stall is 20.
the 7-foot sidewalk is there. We also, have 20-foot parking spaces, which are in many cases 2 feet longer than most municipalities. I mean, some are 16 feet with the 7-foot sidewalk, because you have the 2-foot overhang, or 18 feet with a 5-foot sidewalk. Here we have a 20-foot parking space with a 7-foot sidewalk. So, we actually have between 2 and 4 feet of a buffer beyond what is.
Yeah, this is Hopkins, though. I agree with Lemberg. If we're gonna let the sidewalk work, and you're really gonna put the planters up against the buildings, then why would we have a 20-foot parking space and then let people snug up to the curb and then take 18 inches out of that sidewalk and then the planter out of the sidewalk too? In other municipalities, we've seen at that dimension go down, well, the standard dimension be at 18 inches and then even go to 16 and a half, as the Space Go guy would know. if you're going to allow for the overhang of the bumper. So what people will do is they'll snug up until, you know, they feel their tire hit the curb, and then all of a sudden they're pinching the sidewalk. So actually, I agree with Jim. Maybe that curb should be moved south 18 inches.
Or put up the wheel stops.
Well, the issue with the wheel, part of the reason that we like to stay away from the wheel stops is it sometimes can become problematic in the winter when you're doing the snow plow. So if we were to choose between, you know, those options, you know, I think if we're able to do it within the code, you know, widening the sidewalk to, you know, 8.5 or 9, you know, I'm not opposed to that if that was deemed appropriate, but.
Right. So why not? It's the same dimension. You don't have to move the gas islands or anything. So
no, I mean, if we did an 18-foot.
Wait, Mitch. So if you widen the sidewalk, something has to shift, and you have a 30-foot setback in the rear.
No, just be the sidewalk would get, you know, 2 feet, and the parking space would be 8 feet.
Space.
Okay, if you want to eat it up on the
space to 18.5.
Okay.
Where can somebody tell me where these planters are at? Where do you show these planters?
Planters are will be located along here. They weren't shown on this version of the landscape plan, but they're proposing 3 landscape planters by the doors.
Is that required by code, or is that a petitioner's thing?
We require 4 feet, a 4-foot wide strip of landscaping. They are doing the planters, which is pretty common to meet the intent of the landscape ordinance.
Okay.
Why don't we have the petitioner work with the staff to adjust the width of the sidewalk in the front, or the length of the parking stalls, and we can work with the petitioner to get that changed.
Okay.
Like a good plan.
Fine by us.
Okay.
Good catch, Jim.
And for your outdoor sales, are you going to have anything sitting on the sidewalk, like wood for a fireplace or bags of salt or something like that?
Ice
Or is it just
machine.
gonna stay open all the time?
This is Dan with 7-Eleven. So, you know, we work hand in hand with the franchisee, the current business owner here, and all we're requesting at this point is the propane gauge. Everything else will be stored inside the store.
You're breaking up, Dan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
No.
Dan was saying they worked with the franchisee. At this point, you know, the propane was what would be intended to sell.
That's just on the side, though,
It's on the
right?
side.
Correct.
Okay. So he's not going to sell anything that's going to be along the front sidewalk?
It would be,
It would just be a cage for propane.
the side.
right. And also at our fuel stations, we do a small section of washer fluid too, like a 3-foot, just a little 3-foot display of washer fluid, just for the convenience standpoint. But that would be it.
So you do plan to put other things out there then to block off the sidewalk?
On the side, right?
Those would be the only items, correct?
All right, is there any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Okay, then Christy, you say you have some people in the audience that would like to question. At this time, we'll open it up to the public.
So those attendees that would like to speak, if you could raise your hand, and we will give you a few minutes to do that. And if you don't want to speak, that's okay too. Christy, I'm not seeing anyone raise their hand, so,
I'm not either.
okay. All right, well, I'm going to say that we don't have any hands raised, so we don't have anyone that would wishes to speak in the audience.
No one in the audience at all wishes to speak.
I don't see a hand raised.
Okay, then we'll close this portion of the public hearing. Commissioners, any other questions you might come up with or comments?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Does anyone have a problem with voting on all three automobile service station, selling packaged liquor and outdoor sales all in one motion? Anyone have a problem with that?
No.
No? Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Do we have a motion to recommend approval of the petitioner's request for a site plan and special use permit subject to the following conditions and findings of fact?
Right now.
I'll second that, Austin. But with the, make sure we have those conditions in there as well within the motion.
Right, and those conditions that you were speaking of earlier.
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Yes, I'm so moved. Tim Ridenhour.
Okay, is there a second?
Second by Austin.
Any additions or corrections to that one? No? Okay, Secretary, call the roll.
Diane Nagel,
Yes.
Austin Hopkins,
Yes.
Jack Allen,
Yes.
Dan Gunstein,
Yes.
Mark Hopkins,
Yes?
Tim Brennauer,
Am I the tiebreaker?
Okay,
Tim
motion-
Brennauer, yes.
I voted yes.
Okay, thank you.
what was that?
Yes, got him.
I don't hear anything. Okay.
The motion passed.
Motion passed, okay. Well, then the petitioner, good luck.
Thank you very much for joining and thank you for having us.
I also wanted to thank staff. It's been a pleasure working with them. So,
All right, the next on the agenda then is old business, new business.
We will be having a meeting next month, and right now we're anticipating, if things open up, that we will be having it in person at Village Hall, but we will be doing the social distancing.
Okay.
Did you have public at the Village Hall just now?
No.
Okay. You said you didn't see any hands raised. I was confused as to how this.
Those were electronic blue hands on Zoom.
Let me raise my hand. There you go. It looks like
See,
that.
you see the blue hand? Can you see it?
No,
I've got Diane. She's waving.
Next,
I only see a pink cursor.
Yeah, that's
Look
all I
at-
see too.
look at
On your participants, if you,
Participants, eh?
Participants 11.
there, well, see, Diane's got her blue hand wave.
Oh, there's no.
Oh, yes.
Ah.
That's how you raise your hand.
Now I'll
I
lower
don't
it.
see it still.
Now I lowered it. Now I raised it.
Raise it up again.
It's there.
It's
No.
there.
Where
Diane.
is it?
Okay. And if,
So, and we are still in need of some of the ethics statements, or the statements of ethics have not been turned in. So if you guys could turn those into us as soon as possible.
You know who you are.
Did you get mine? Did you get Ridenhour's?
Did we get yours? Are you asking?
I mailed it. I mailed it. I didn't bring it in, so,
We'll have to check.
all right.
Sitting in quarantine.
But you know who you are if you have not turned it in. The village clerk wants these submitted.
okay. Any other old business or new business?
Roberta, I emailed mine, I believe. Is that okay, or do you need a hard copy?
Well, hopefully she got it. Did you get an email from her?
Yeah, she sent me the original email. I forwarded it back to her, signed and filled out. That's why I'm asking.
Then you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Is
You
that
took my
Dan?
right email.
That's Dan, yeah.
Yeah, you're on the list. So you say you emailed it?
Yep.
Okay, I have her check.
All right.
You're on the list, Dan.
I'm always
See?
on the list.
Yes.
Pretty soon it's double secret probation.
Right.
Okay.
Do you,
No other business then? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
No second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Okay. Adjourn.
Thank you all. You guys did a great job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. This was fun.
It worked.
It did.
Mark, raise your hand.
Not so easy.
Mark's still a co-host.
Yeah, he
Am I
is.
really?